I want you gentlemen to stay on for me a bit longer on the media and how it is controlled. And its control, if it's positively or negatively, how it can influence society. Because we're told that there are a lot of things that we churn out on our media screens, especially for our kids. This week, a photo of our favorite Superman character popped up on social media. Instead of the joy with which Ghanaians usually greet that character, there has been a pushback. The reason is simple. Superman was now being depicted as a transgender. How much of that will influence your children? Well, we'll find out. And of course, there's also this picture for you to look at. Just take a look at this photo. It's another favorite comic character, Spider-Man on TV. This toddler watching this TV alone decides to emulate his idol. Imagine if Spider-Man actually jumps in this scene. Such is the power of media influence on our society, especially on our children. How much of control does our regulators have, and how much should they have in protecting the Ghanaian society? That's the focus also this afternoon for this conversation. Let me begin with you, Mr. ABA Fuseni. How does this come across to you, especially when we've had to go back and forth with this LGBTQ issue and with the bill which is currently in Parliament?
Yeah, I said for me, clearly, without any iota of doubt, it's an attempt to use the back door to especially sensitize and get our youth, especially our children, to imbibe those kinds of what I would call untoward value. Clearly, Aisha, the thing is to make sure that in watching those things, our youth come to accept that this issue of gender transformation and moving from one gender to other, they become gender tolerant. They become tolerant of those things that they see. And in becoming tolerant, it becomes part of their value. And then they grow up accepting that it is okay to be transgender, it's okay to be gay, it's okay to be lesbian, it's okay to be queer. Things that are inimical to growth and development of our society and to our values as Ghanaians and African people. So clearly, I see all these other things in this ICT era that we live in. They will use all manner of surreptitious means to get us. You remember not too long ago, we had a debate in this country of comprehensive sexuality education as part of our curriculum, in which they were trying to infuse this kind of thing in our children. But for the resistance the society put up, it will have been part of the curriculum being taught in our schools. And so now they will try to smuggle that through other media that our children patronize. And in this day and age, because we have this media plurality and this variety of medium they can use to send pictures to our children, they are passing it through. So I see this one as just nothing but an attempt to get our children embrace and imbibe this LGBTQI terrible this is that they are trying to infuse into our country and our culture. And the best way of getting them is to catch the children when they are young. And that is why they are some of these things that the children patronize much. They want to use that one as a basis to infuse that culture in them. And I think that we must all be alive. I want to take this opportunity of your very respectable medium to call on parents to be very, very, very doing and circumspect in what their children watch, and to ensure that they moderate and regulate this media that their children patronize and the content that comes with it, so that they can stop them from this kind of negative content that unduly is targeted at influencing their culture and adulterating their way of life, which is not African and which is not edifying. I think that parents have a bounden duty to be very interested in what their children watch, especially now that we are living through this very dangerous time.
Mr. Danso Eninkra is still with us. Mr. Danso, how much control do we have, especially on foreign content? I mean, we're talking about the DSTVs, the Go TVs, and all the things that they bring in. Some time ago, we heard about the classification of even documentaries before it is shown. But these are foreign contents on channels that we do not have control over.
Yeah, so I think as time goes on, we would come to the point where we'll be able to define what we mean by foreign content. Are we talking about African content? Are we talking about Ghanaian content? Are we talking about West African content? Are we talking about international content? Are we talking about Mexican soaps? Are we talking about Indian soaps? Are we talking about Korean? So we should be able to come to that point in our discourse in time clearly define what we mean when we talk about foreign content. That is very important. I believe strongly that with the moves that have initiated, especially spearheaded by the Ministry of Information with other stakeholders, we will gradually get there. Again, when we have succeeded in passing the broadcasting bill and the broadcasting law, we would find enough room and support for some of the activities that we intend undertaking for the purpose of helping to regulate what we use as content on our various television platforms. Again, as we evolve, I mean, society is dynamic. We move forward virtually every day. When we get the opportunity of changing technology, that would inform us also concerning our laws and our regulations. We'll be able to imbibe in the people who turn out this content also the desire to have various jurisdictions well represented in the content that we show on our television. It should be a conversation, there should be a common platform where we can have a conversation that will be ongoing and that would also take into consideration.
What's the role of GIBA in this conversation you're talking about? I mean, what do you intend to do about this? Because it looks like it's becoming very critical.
Well, so GIBA has always managed to put together its members, make sure that we have the people even identified. For instance, if you play in an industry where you cannot identify the players, it is very difficult to put information across to them. GIBA will continue to provide that platform where if anybody wants to address players in the industry, television owners especially, radio owners especially, GIBA will be the mouthpiece. GIBA will continue to rally these people together, and then will also be available to contribute our quota in terms of knowledge, know-how. We have an association which has membership which cuts across people who have traveled, people who have learned a lot locally, will be able to lend support, will be able to contribute our knowledge in shaping out whatever we want to put across and make sure that we get to where we want to be.
I'm grateful for your time, Andrew Danso-Nkora. He is the president of GIBA, and ABA Fuseni is a member of parliament and ranking member on the communication committee of parliament. I'm extremely grateful for your time this afternoon. We'll take a break on The Pulse and we'll bring you the very latest from the sports world.